Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are doing really well. My name's Eva, and I want to thank you for joining me here. I just want to start this by taking a deep breath together because it's it's going to be hard for me to describe what this is, but it's also extremely simple. So just take a moment to meet ourselves in the field where we're all in understanding of this. Um, I think that will make it easier. So I was sitting here, again, doing my death doula training, and a lot comes up, obviously, you can imagine, in opening up to the idea of that work and the practice of that work, in physical reality with other people going through these things. And so what started to emerge is this kind of shared transmission for everyone, was this sort of weight, resentment, grief, deep fatigue, and resistance from the responsibility that we may feel unconsciously, subconsciously, consciously, however it's coming throughout time, by having a deep, I guess, sort of manifested empathy or maturity in whatever way that comes. Now, what's coming up as an example now is I have been tall since I was 10 years old. I've always, when I was a little kid, I looked so much older than I was. And I've always had deep emotional maturity, and I've been this sort of way that I am forever. And it that causes you to grow up really fast and have this sense of responsibility for situations or ideas or just awareness of things that maybe feel like they've taken things from you. And now this can look really individual for everyone. It doesn't have to be in a spiritual healing context. It could be in whatever ways it makes sense for your life, right? But there is this weightfulness, this deep pressure and ache and anxiety from having kind of held more. And because we don't, in the world, in the physically manifested world of dreams, as I call it, Maya, samsara, in this world, that because the eternity of it all, the eternal life of it all has been rejected, that we don't, and spiritual teaching now on a bigger scale comes from organized religion, and not so much the actual, it's changing a lot. And even I was just in at the ALA conference, and there were all kinds of really cool books about experiential spirituality, and the Holy Spirit is the living being of your soul. And there's lots of people looking into this now, and they always have. But I'm talking about larger structures, that there are so many people on earth, and at the very, very most collective levels and the most deeply sort of rooted genetic ancestral levels and imprints of the field, we're talking about structures of manipulation, control, and subjugation of eternity and love, right? So we're not taught, when we have a natural expansion, when we come with the imprint of remembrance, of unity, that because there have not been and there are not that many actual embodied teachers of unity, and that's certainly not being broadcasted on a large scale, and those who did are, their religions are very distorted, and sanction death and all kinds of things. So when we have this sort of capability in us, or this natural propensity or code, or however or mission or purpose, or however you resonate with how that comes through, or it unravels over time and you reveal more over time, even if you don't feel like you were born in the awareness of it. However, I want to make this as widely accessible as possible, and it's very abstract to try to talk about and to cover it for all of the experience of everyone, because it is the experience of everyone. We all feel it at different degrees and at different times of our life. But it's this idea of not really knowing what to do with that. And so it can turn into distorted energy very quickly when we introduce ideas of like sacrificing the needs of the self and contorting the needs of the self, and false ideas of giving and receiving. And so that was sort of the next step that came through with this healing, was being in deep witness and conscious involvement with integrating polarity, giving and receiving as one. And so this started to come through as in the ideas, what was coming through me was this idea of judgment. Judgment you notice in others being the judgment that you have for yourself, that you then project outward again towards judgment of other people in your interpretation of them judging others or you. And it's coming from all of these things we've been talking about over the last 6 minutes are sort of coming from the way that physical reality is all held together. Spirit wants us to be in deep witness of this, because that is the unity practice, to see that there is no separation between what you make of other people's egos and the conception of your own. The judgment that you hold of yourself is the judgment that you have for others or perceive in others. And that's difficult for us. This idea of responsibility being really distorted and really intermingled with like personal sacrifice and sacrifice of will and desires and happiness and joy and expression, and having to like use certain gifts that then require you to give of yourself in such a way that you no longer have it. And that is not what Spirit teaches. To give and to receive are one, which is to just create more, a further expansion and a further unity, a further awareness of unity. I hope this is making sense. This is starting to feel incredibly rambly, but it's hard to talk about these things because they don't exist in linear time, and that's the only way that we can talk. So I might just go into the code expression, but I would love to know if this feels resonant for people. It feels very significant now, because there's a tendency to, when we start to feel this way, to follow the traces of detail. And Spirit wants us to move at a further expansion to see how this is teaching us about integrating polarity and the correction of the idea and belief in what giving and receiving are, to see how they are constructing physical reality. I mean, coming through in this way at this moment of time, because this dimensional set is like ripping apart so quickly. And it would help us so much to immediately move into a choice to see things differently, instead of unraveling things in a way that like brings up pain for ourselves. And like, this is not a meaning to be bypassing. We're not meant to be in pain. When you're in pain, you have misunderstood what you are. You are the Son of God. You are the Holy One. You are eternity. You are a being of God. You are perfection. You are perfect peace. You are perfect love. This is our reality. And while we do need to uncover all of the belief that we have against that, we're not meant to sit in that, because that is suffering for no reason. And we don't have to understand illusions in the way we think we do to be free of them. They are insane. They are against nature. They are against organic unity. They are against the natural way of things. And so this is coming through for Spirit to say, you can see, you can be in witness of, you are a being of organic unity, and you can see throughout these dimensions to see the way that all of these, however it might be coming, you clicked on this for a reason, however it might be coming through you at this time in your life, based on whatever is happening and the choices you're making and what you're moving through. Probably some kind of incredibly deep transformation based on identity and context and what you are and what we're all doing. Because those ideas we have of ourselves at this time of expansion can change very quickly and tend not to settle. I have noticed they are not settling. It's just more and more and more. There's no time to settle into an embodiment of layers when they are not our full expression. And that can be deeply frustrating because we live in the physical world, and what are we doing here if not to have physical lives? That, I think, is a misunderstanding of how we got to this point of physicality, this point of distortion, this point of pain, this point of suffering, this point of death, which is further and further rejected, and life is denied. And there are all kinds of evidence for this. So I hope that this is helpful to whoever found this. And there's also your expression to others doesn't have to be like we're all making sense of it together, and no one really knows what they're doing because this is not a realm of knowledge. And when we try to project that kind of thing, we distort ourselves. So it's not needed to be, there's so many Spirit's really, 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 really calling us to be in further expansion, further and further expansions of our awareness of how many dimensions we're connecting at, and how what you think you might need to bring through in terms of polish or clarity or branding or whatever, you're focusing in the wrong place on where we actually connect to others. And so while you have all this judgment for yourself, you can't emit at the levels which really attract this, the likeness to your vision. It's mixed signals, and it gets murky, and it's not fun. And you misunderstand yourself, and you misunderstand the levels of where we are connecting. It's easy to do this because the physical world is so distracting and so dense and so heavy, and we're so held to it by the weight of this density, that it's so easy to get clouded and forget. It's designed that way on purpose by ourselves. And that's so important to continuously remember, that you have the choice to see outside of that. And that's really, it seems to be the purpose of this transmission. So let's let that come through. It's also like a deep anxiety. It's like a deep anxiety for, and that's really mixed up with judgment and guilt. Tamis tatiana kina mission jorot yai diami kindara korohim. Sion jirihanim zaratu kunuhina kanita san. Shamin dari kani kiani kiamaharat yoptos onjanas nadrato soinshikia. Sip atroin zornishnindra sikit. It is for expanding your awareness of vision. Samisatusham sakinandritis. This is not by the way of narrative story of timelines. They want to make that clear. This is understanding field connections. It's much more, it will probably come through much more to you about like actually perceiving like physics, like currents of fields and the like completely ineffable connection of all, so that you can see cause and effect very clearly. Simeandibo kuyim sakinandrikana shanzakiaya sonjakime hinsiki. Hindatoyonom darakinit. Spirit doesn't want you to make more time doing unnecessary things. Siapaya sunzokishik, because they do not make you happy. Kita korokinasit. Shimisanzaretis. And the goal of this is not to have this perceived vision. It's that the perceived vision in this context will make it easier for you to let go of what you're clinging to by the way of what you think is going to help you. They're trying to get us to stop clinging to understanding illusions. And where we think we're responsible to other people's, as in other people's egos, or where you think you're responsible to your own ego based on physical action, hustle, filling your time with certain activities, feeling like shit, excuse my French, if you feel lazy, the responsibility part of all of that. Because then when we're doing in that way, there is no spirit time. There's no time for spirit to work through time in the way that it is, actual healing, in the way that is unraveling time or collapsing time. We create more time when we extrapolate projections and focus on the wrong things. Spirit would like us to be in stillness, understanding that it's not laziness. There's nothing that you could be doing on earth with your body that's more useful than allowing spirit to embody your vessel. And you don't have to perform that for other people for it to be valuable and useful, not only to yourself as you conceive of yourself, but to the entire field, because the field is one. This is this integrating polarity witnessing that came through at the beginning. This is what Spirit's trying to call through in this transmission, so that you can see the interconnectedness of all things and you don't feel responsible to the wrong things, to the wrong aspects of the self that we made in falsity. So that we don't misunderstand ourselves and spend more time misunderstanding ourselves. Kinaini konom na konoin chokonoin satro rohiti sinji tisam sakini kiani kanayan charaya sonsokonash satro rohinam na indi kaisi kayaya kina yamaya shunto konamai sioso konoit sitro ronda kayaya tiomuyon chikinikina toyon dukoti payai hi ayata sunjari kinan daya nunu koamain jiriti kinian zitri kinit. This is so hard to describe. It is coming through like, stop paying attention to the story, because the wisdom that's in the story is never in the words. It's never in the narrative. It's never in the plot. This is about extending you have to choose to do this. This doesn't come from not choosing. This doesn't come like as a dawning that you didn't like actively choose and participate in, okay? You have to be responsible for your choice. This does not dawn without your focus. It doesn't dawn without your allowance. But after you give that allowance, it's effortless. This is all, again, about understanding what's important and what is meaningless. So in terms of like the wisdom of certain stories, it's never in the details. It's in the dimensions above. I've said this before. To me, what it looks like is all of the harmonic dimensions are written by the dimensions above or around it. And so you are in all of those places all of the time. So choosing to extend your awareness to where there is greater connection, and so that you can let go of the lower, more densified, time-making dimensions. Kimayanyundo somzako yishi tro rohina makina sikyashi. Sinisani hianja nisan zari kanimbo rohiki pita tuyo sunjoko rokonasa. Shimbisi kian zaya shinikindrinso kuno shamatri kini yokoku amaharait. Yamnatisi kini shimihani sonzoko rokunit. Suishami toro uyabayanai kini kintaya shikia si koya koro koya samjari ki. Suinzo koya shiniam satraisi shitisium sut. Kaya shumbo tokoni shindi kini maya tinian sikiata kuik. Himia sanji kini sanzarato sochekiaya sunza kono indiai. Himayana inia tayo sunjoko rohite sikia samshakaya sa. Sai shini sanzaki nandro ima kanatra inzikini shimi sanzati toyo koro. Him shato sotsakos, shim sati asosish nis natrai ina kanat. Yamakini yamakunu yundu kuto ut. Hindako yoni pari. Yepto, koma shondoko ikiyoma kanatra ina sana. Yanatos. It's like a lot of letting go of false ideas of exchange, and this comes through in like worship or dedication to spirit, that we have false ideas about being like rewarded for. It just wants to like wipe this out. And encourage you to be in direct awareness, so that you can kind of see for yourself that that's not the way that it is. And then that just dissolves this like false program. And every time you notice it come up, you just open yourself to direct awareness and spirit will show you that you're wrong about it. And then it just takes it away from you if you no longer want it. It really is that easy. We don't believe we deserve for it to be that easy. And so it isn't for us. But that doesn't mean that the more that you practice and choose to believe that it can, that will not grow in you. It will. And it's, again, coming back to what we talked about in the beginning, this idea of responsibility, in focusing your responsibility in the wrong places. Like it's like martyrdom and sacrifice, and like believing that your life has to be difficult to be in service to others, or that it can't be joyful to work through things that we had previous conceptions of being like horrible. It's really like being in witness of how we give everything meaning. Meaning doesn't exist outside of the meaning that you've written. There is no outside meaning. It's all within what you have written. Siamasi sancha korro kana insa kina tayan takinan disonzo tipishiki disinzikini tayat kimietis. And it's an admission of your free will, that they're saying like, you misunderstand God when you think that God has written the details of this world. God did not write the details of this world. God made you to write your own story, and this is what we've chosen to do. And you can stop doing that. You can just stop doing it. This is where even spiritual teachings get messed up, in my opinion, and you get in traps. You can just stop. God's not sitting there telling you to go through a school. No, I'm sorry. It's not like that. God doesn't want you to suffer. And that's like such a foundational belief that we have, is that suffering is meaningful. It's not. You will seek for understanding where you think it is meaningful. And while you think suffering is meaningful, because how could it not be in this world? That's the only way we justify doing it, is that it creates integrity, or proves your chops, or builds character, or must mean something, or else why would we do it? We need to justify our own pain by giving it meaning. It's insane. This is what we mean by saying illusions are insane. It's insane to do that. And that's why I get on videos and share it, because when I notice myself doing it, I've opened myself to tools that help other people shed light on where they've done it in themselves, so we can all choose together to do it differently. And when Spirit will use you, move through you, commensurate to how open you are to letting it do so. And so when you open more, there's more, because there's infinite creation. So then you have access to more. It doesn't make you better. You're not more capable than anyone else of doing it. You've just chosen. Everyone has equal choice to do it. And me choosing is choosing for you, because we are one. So then you can pick it up. Let it be easy. Instead of trying to understand whatever these words are, I don't think they're words at all. We made words up in discrete forms for the purpose of separation and linear time. Let it be something else, and that's not a judgment on anybody who's curious about it, but it is a call to let it be more than what you can understand in a lower dimension that it's not meant for. And that goes for everything. The wisdom that is written around everything, deeper within, further in, further out, further up, further in, all of it. Let yourself be more. Let yourself understand from places that you currently are not aware of, or you want to be aware of, but you don't know how. It's because you keep asking how instead of just letting yourself accept that you're already there. And I'm guilty of this. I got on here because I was feeling all of these things in a way. I was judging myself. And then I sat down in meditation for a little while. I started doing my death doula training, and then it came out like this to share with others, because I need the remembrance of it like you do. We are the same. I need the remembrance of it also. Kimiani ko ruitio somjokoni ansi kini kina yakiana. Hinandro isi shini sonzoi shani kanandri kini koyon chimi ani koyon soto iti kini kanatrihi. Himientisio soso shimi andrai sisat. Kina kuni matri koyon chokoni hinza kayeshi. And I am reminded of Jesus in this moment, because that might make you unwilling to trust me. Oh God, if it didn't make her life better, then why would I listen to her? Well, that made me think about Jesus when he was on the cross and he said, God, why have you forsaken me? Why did you leave me here to die like this? Did that make him less capable of regenerating an image to project onto this world to show us that he was not gone, that death is nothing, death is meaningless unreality? No. And it doesn't mean that for you either. And choose your deity representation. Choose your guide. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't have to be Jesus. You can choose what makes the most sense for you. But it is not the moments that we forget who we are that make us who we are or make us incapable of remembering. All of what we've chosen to forget has not changed what we are. It cannot. What we are cannot change. And so all of the story, all of the guilt, all of the sadness, all of the grief, all of the desperation, all of the death that we've written on top of what we are has not changed what we are, and it has not changed our capability to choose to accept ourselves as we really are. It could be gone like this. It could be gone like this. It could be gone from us. If we all chose together, this entire world would end like this. It would be nothing, because it is already nothing. Look for meaning where meaning really is. If that made you feel horrible, because I just live in a totally meaningless world, God didn't create a meaningless world. You are God. God is in the center of your being. And so you are not meaningless. It can't be explained more than that. You must choose to open to accept that for yourself. And in the world such as it is, it requires a whole lot of choosing. It requires choosing again, choosing again, choosing again, redirect, choose again. If you are tempted to believe in the meaningless, if you're tempted to believe that there's meaning in your suffering, if you are in pain, you are mistaken. And it is just for you to choose again. Choose again. Choose again. You've chosen the wrong perception because you believe in death, so it's not making you happy. Choose again. Kia kia na inchit. That choice is never taken from you, and it hasn't been. I mean, perhaps that the world continues on in fear would be the evidence that the choice hasn't been taken, because if God was willing to negate itself, the world would already be over. It will not negate your choice, but it will never stop calling you home. It's calling you still. Mandra kinit, accept your meaning. You are not meaningless. Sia soyo sokina injiri te kiana inzikiana yotoro. Hian zitia soya tia kiai. Hinandrut. Let it be messy. Let it be emotional. Let it be whatever it comes out as. It doesn't have what is perfect. Nothing in this world. Nothing in the manifestation of duality. Kiana in zoya shamia sokinda titi ai kian. But the perfection of all things is at the center of all things, and we are capable of accepting it, of being an experience of it, and of seeing it in other people. When you look with the right eyes. It's not for the body's eyes to see. Look with, it's not even just your heart. Look with your eternal being. Your eternal being is the eternal being of all life. And that includes every single being, human, animal, plant, or otherwise, in this whole universal system that we're aware of, and everything we're unaware of in infinite creation. Siasayasho arit, let that bring you peace. Kianayin siki ayan yon tohoyat, yain chokoyisam, yonataya kianishi. Sindrik ut uyamian janikanas sitaya soti yani kanindiri oruit sioso yeshona nuyum. Kiniani notim shi sini kaniandisi toyotuyonian ima toyotokonian doyotoyanayanayaton. Hinayono kon ibayo sondoro toyoni tani kanama tarato yono tonam. Sini shinin dia sonzoi shini taya koro toyoto. It's like guilt for not being happy when you could just accept happiness. There is nothing physical that needs to happen. There's nothing you have to do outwardly as we think of doing things. Miani koyonon dadayo toyomu rum shitia. Kinaini ayanitia. This might unravel quite a bit, even after you turn this video off. So, as always, when you participate with this work, I wouldn't do it lightly, by the way of like going out to do like whatever, unless I don't know. Do what you want. I'm not going to try to police the way that you handle this work. But I will say, when I do it, I notice that things start to unravel because it works. It actually works. So it will then, we live in time, so it will unravel in time as we experience it, because we live in time. So just take care of yourself. Take care of yourself when you do this work. Give it the reverence it deserves, because you deserve reverence, not because I do as a person or God wants you to worship it. It's because you do. And We are living through extreme times. Let yourself rest. Let yourself integrate. Let yourself do nothing. Let yourself listen to spirit. And when guilt comes up, you have to practice the way that works best for you to redirect your mind in whatever mantra that works for you. I've studied the Course in Miracles for many years, and I find myself using the Course in Miracles and what I have learned and what is inspired from that in my own practice. But I encourage you to find what works best for you, that comes from you, that is led synchronistically into your life for you, because you won't do it unless it makes your soul sing, unless it feels like home to you, and it can be anything. So I encourage you to open to spirit and accept the way that comes through for you. I'm going to end this here. I hope that it was helpful. I know it got pretty abstract, and I hope that it comes through for you in a way that is practically helpful for your life. I think practicality is going to change quite a bit in the way that we think about those, and it already is. So, again, understanding what has meaning and what has no meaning and where to put your focus now is an incredibly peaceful practice and an incredibly practical practice because it will change your life. It will change the experience of your life and what manifests from you. Understand, though, what manifests from you is not for a world that is dead. It is for life. And that will not look like the world of death. It will look like life. We don't really know what that looks like. It is not for our body's eyes to see. Open to where it is. And don't be afraid of letting go of what is not real. Amen. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.